Hello and welcome to part 15 of this complete beginners tutorial slash guide slash walkthrough for Hearts of Iron 4. I can't believe we're already up to episode 15. This is going to be the last episode or the final episode before we actually start war. So I'm hoping to be able to wrap everything up on this, the 15th, before we kick things off with Poland. Just before we get into the game, I'd like to give a huge thanks and a huge shout out to everybody that's given us a like, or especially those of us that have left a comment underneath one or more of the videos. As somebody that produces these things, I know I've said it before, but I'll say it again. When you're sat here in a room by yourself, just looking at a screen and into the camera, it's very nice to see the sort of the upshot of all of that at the end of the day when somebody leaves a comment and says, you know, thanks for this, whether it's that they enjoy it or, oh, I get what the thing is now, or here's a question, what about this? I appreciate all of that. I even appreciate people that put me right on something if I've said something wrong. And somebody left a comment earlier when I said that the German fighters or the German jet fighters were the only jet fighters to see action in World War II. And somebody put me right on that, saying that there was the British jet, the Meteor, that shot down one of the Doodlebugs as it came across from Germany. I thought, oh, that's new to me. I decided to look it up. Actually, turns out it didn't shoot down the Doodlebug because the gun was jammed, but it, in any case, the British jet fighter, the Meteor, knocked the Doodlebug out the sky and it subsequently crashed. May sound like a minor thing, but in any case, we learn stuff every day. So yeah, even if you're writing in to have a go at me and saying, listen, you idiot, you got this completely backwards, I appreciate you too. I genuinely do. Right, let's crack on then. So back into the game for part 15. One question that Jetson asked in the comments was, does your war experience or your military experience, we're talking about these figures up here, increase because you decide to either take part in a war, or you declare war, or you assist somebody else who's at war? The answer is no. It makes no difference whatsoever. These figures only increase because of the actual activities engaged within fighting those wars. So in other words, we need to declare war or take part in somebody else's war in order to actually have a battle to fight. That's obvious. It is the fighting of the battles that increases the experiences up here, or at least increases the experience by the most. Yes, as we've seen, training units, divisions gives us a trickle of experience, but the real points are given to us through the actual battles themselves. So yes, you need to declare war in order to have a battle, and yes, the battle gives you the most amount of experience, but no, declaring war in and of itself does not give you the experience. So I hope that's clear in everybody's mind. Probably was 2 minutes ago, I hear you saying, but at least you've hammered it on for those, for the one person there who might be a little slow on the uptake. Although I shouldn't laugh because it took me 2 years to get my head around this game. So there is that. Right, unassigned divisions. So once again, shift left click. We've got the solitary division there. Let's assign it to our training army. Very easy now. I always keep now my training army on the very far end of this list, all the way on to the off the end of the right hand side. So that it's very easy. You might say, well, what happens if your whole thing fills up? Which it probably will do because I'm playing at this lower resolution for the purposes of the tutorial. What happens is your generals will start stacking up onto a second layer or a second level. So you can see why sometimes it's better to play on a higher resolution with a smaller UI so that these things are a little smaller. Although for the purposes of the tutorial, if you can't see things because of that diddy, it's not exactly helpful, is it? So let's carry on then. You can see a lot of the divisions under this guy are now trained up. So what I'm going to do is reassign those divisions to generals that need them. So front line here with Poland, and I believe, yep, this is a general here. He's so far got 2 divisions under him. Let's get all the divisions that are ready under his command. I'm also going to tell my Field Marshal here, he still thinks he's exercising, but who exactly he's exercising, I have no idea. As you can see, none of the generals underneath him are doing that. So let's press the stop button there to avoid any confusion within the game mechanics. We'll come over here to our training army. And of course, we don't want everybody. So what I'm going to do is left click the first division. And I'm just going to go shift, 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 shift. With all of these divisions all good to go, let's right click onto the general in question, this guy here, and boom, there we go. Now, these special forces guys are not always the best when it comes to regular fighting, not least because if we take a look, they are on the template, as you can see here, they're a smaller division overall. As you can see, they've got 6 battalions. Versus, if we take a look at the infantry template over here, there are 9. So clearly 9 is better than 6. That said, you may say, yeah, but hang on a minute. Aren't special forces better, generally speaking, than their regular force counterparts? The answer is yes. But if we take a look how the game interprets those differences, let's have a quick look just at the template division in brief. Look at the organizational ability of the special forces, in this case 79.4 for these mountain fighters. Let's compare that with the infantry template, 68.2. 79.4, 68.2. In other words, the special forces can fight just that bit harder, just that bit longer, because you've got beefcakes wandering around that I like to describe as built like an upside down triangle. So, yeah, they're better able to do so. But again, there are fewer of them. So just, you know, don't push these guys too hard. They will fold just as quick, if not quicker, than your regular infantry counterparts. So, yeah. Could you modify the special forces to have more divisions? Yes, but you are limited in the total number of special forces divisions you can have. By whom, how come, why come, I have no idea. It's just a rule that the game imposes on you. The more regular divisions you have, the more special forces divisions you can have. I'm not entirely sure what the ratio is, but it's something like for every, and again, I'm just pulling a figure out the ether here, for every 5 or 6 divisions of regular guys, you can have 1 special forces division. I'm sure somebody will put me right on that. Please do if you know better. Okay, one other thing I wanted to mention, I think last episode I forgot to do so, we were talking about infantry equipment, and as we build newer pieces of infantry equipment, slowly that spreads out. And I said, if you ever want to know how and where that infantry equipment is, just click on any division. Let's pick this, actually no, because these were from Austria. Let's pick one of our existing divisions that were up here in northern Germany. Let's just pick this guy here. If we take a look on the right hand side, those are the pieces of equipment overall. And if we take a look, where does it show it? I think actually that is it there on the right hand side. So you can see there that they don't as of yet have any of the newer weapons. Remember, we just started, oh no, we hadn't started. What am I talking about? We'd only just started researching this newer weapon here, the MP38. I'll try and remember to take a look at that. But I best get things going if we're trying to get ready for war. Again, I find, of course, you can play exactly historically accurate and try and go to war on the very day in question. Some people, I had somebody ask a question once before, is it better to try and build things up so they're really strong and raring to go and then go, or is it better to try and do things a bit earlier even though they're not necessarily as strong as they could be? And the person who asked this question said, because I prefer building things up and then going, although that takes longer. And it was a really good question because on one of my existing tutorials, I was playing really aggressive. So even though I wasn't necessarily 100% ready, I was just push, push, push. And the answer is, remember, the AI plays by the same rules that you do. So the more time you take to prepare and build up, the more time they have got to prepare and build up. So the better you become, generally speaking, the better they become as time evolves. So to say, oh, well, I'm not 100% ready, let's attack now, chances are nor will the AI be. And the longer you leave things in terms of years, I'm just going to say America's strength goes up, and like 43, 44, 45, America's strength is like on a astronomical projection to the moon. So the further we can get things done by that point, the better. Not least when you consider how much help, assistance and supply America was giving to Russia before America technically became involved in the war. So let's carry on. Bearing in mind, our whole shenanigans in Spain are now done with, so you can see not only is the war finished, but our Spanish theatre of war has disappeared because it no longer exists. That said, if we come over to the F3 menu, because we manually assigned these bombers to go do what they were doing in Spain, they're still trying to bomb. Now, they're not going to destroy anything. Why? Because we are not at war with these people. They are not an enemy. Therefore, although the bombers are set over there to go and destroy stuff, they're going to go over there. They're going to use fuel. They're going to think, well, hang on, there's nothing here, there's nothing here, there's nothing here. And then at the end of the day, they're going to come up. In other words, we're wasting fuel doing this. So let's select the two bombers in question, holds the air wing. And in terms of orders up here, let's cancel them. So they're basically sat base doing nothing. I'm going to leave the other orders there as is so that they're basically got the correct orders once we start in Poland. The only thing I do want to do is bring them a little closer to the Polish border. So I'm going to fly them back up to this airbase here by right-clicking it. There we go. Slow time down a bit to a level 3. Let's unpause. And there we see the two air wings making their way over, which is not just a case of the bombers flying from A to B. Of course, there is that. But there's also all the ground crew that are involved as well. They move across. So you may be tempted to think, for example, if we come over here, that, okay, 100 aircraft, that is 100 pilots. That would require 100 people to fulfill that air wing. I mean, that would be at least my initial guess. But as it actually happens, if we were to try and recruit some more, where does it say... Does it say how many people we will require? It's more obvious. Oh, here we go. Here's a number of people we require. So if we want to recruit another 81 aircraft, take a look at that. It's actually going to require 1,620 people. Now, bearing in mind, we're going to up the air wing will, once it's full, will be 100 people, 100 aircraft, should I say, not 100 people. You'll probably find this, and it looks like it's probably going to be about 2,000 people. So to have one air wing with 100 aircraft, which may be indeed have 100 pilots, you actually need 2,000 people. What exactly are all the other jobs? I don't know. I mean, each pilot had his own named mechanic, certainly in the way that the German Air Force did it, or the Luftwaffe did it. So that accounts for another 200. You've got maybe spare pilots. Maybe you've got the commanders of the airbase. You got the people who guard the gates. The people that bring out the fuel bowsers and all that. I'm just guessing. But that explains why you actually need so many people for such few aircraft. Once again, don't forget, 81 aircraft, that's it, yes. But again, we've got these Austrian fighters. You may say, well, hang on, didn't we make use of the Austrian fighters last time you recruited a new air wing? Yes, we did. But don't forget, these are old aircraft. As our factories keep producing new aircraft, that existing air wing got newer and newer aircraft, and the older aircraft were returned to the central pool, as in right here. So 81 plus 37 is well over 100, so we're all good. Let's get those recruiting. Okay. And rather than wasting any time on this menu, let's set them to train right away. We've got the previous air wing we can see is right up there, so let's Unpause, and as soon as it hits that silver star, there we go, we'll pause again, we'll cancel their training, and we'll bring the previous air wing that we had training somewhere into position. I don't know, this northern airfield would be a good spot. Okay, bang. Right, let's ramp up pace. We're 7th of April. I'm going to start my timer because I'm really hoping that we can get to the outbreak. Pause. Okay, we are well over 200 political power. If you recall, we required that to get Rommel. So let's select to modify officer corps. Let's click on one of these 2 remaining slots here. And we'll get Rommel hired. And again, armor divisions, in other words, tanks, whether they're light, middle, heavy, or way in the future, the more modern tanks, bonuses all round. Not just for the very specific division that Rommel's commanding, but for any tank in any division anywhere. So this is a great thing to have. Okay. And the other one, if I recall, was this one here, Ferdinand, the infantry expert, for a huge bonus for all infantry divisions. Bear in mind, we've got a lot more infantry divisions than we do have panzer divisions. Okay, let's unpause. Let's have a quick look at the big pause there as we roll around to May. Insufficient resources. It's steel, but not yet going out of control. We will be changing the laws very shortly, so let's unpause. Pause. As soon as you hear those free civilian factory notifications, make sure we get some more there. We know the reasons. So I'm going to sprinkle in a few military factories at this point. Let's fulfill Brandenburg from 10, so shift left click to 16. The next thing I want is some more synthetic refineries. Remember, once war kicks off, getting our convoys through is going to be made very difficult thanks to the British Empire, specifically the Royal Navy. So the more synthetic refineries we have in place at that time, the better, because they do take a long time to build. It's not always the easiest thing in the world. So if we select synthetic refinery, let's go ahead and fill the state of Hessen. Shift left click. Remember, you can only have up to 3 refineries per state. And we'll unpause. Escape. Pause. Okay, more research has been done. That's great. I also see here we've got some new divisions that are ready. Shift left click. It's a whole bunch of divisions. Take a look at this. We've got an infantry division, the 3 motorized, as well as the 2 cheapo divisions, border guards, whatever we want to call them. I'll tell you what, so single right click to our guy who's training. Okay. Because these divisions share a very similar front name, infantry division, infantry division. I realize we selected different icons, but this is going to be a little difficult. So if we come over to the recruit menu, oh, we have actually changed them. Okay, that's great. There's also one other infantry template down here, template number 5. This was again a relic from the Austrian nation before we took it over. Let's see how it compares versus our own. So very similar, except they have cavalry reconnaissance as opposed to we had artillery, but otherwise they're the same. So this here is more or less similar to our own. I think now would be a really good time to enhance our infantry divisions that we're going to be using for attack, and we'll make use of it now. So this division here, the infantry template 5, our Austrian template, what I'm actually going to do is come over here to decommission, and that's going to make it very obvious with that little yellow arrow that we saw before which division is out of date. And the reason is because we're going to modify our existing one. I'm going to come over to the support company and we're going to add an anti-air element to this. Now take a look at the stats once we add anti-air support. Look at all of those green buffs there. Used to be even bigger. They scaled it back a little bit, but those are massive bonuses. Look at hard attack, in other words, going up against tanks from 11 to 15. Air, that's self-explanatory. Defense, small increase. Breakthrough, a small increase. Piercing, the biggest increase. Remember, piercing when it comes to, once again, dealing damage sort of versus tanks. Again, there is a difference between hard attack and piercing. We'll take a look at that in a future episode. But bonuses across the board, right? So let's get that one in. Now, it may be tempting to just hit save. What's going to happen is every infantry division that we have is now going to be assigned this new setup, which is okay, that's great. But as you see there, we don't actually have enough anti-air available, at least not yet. We require 1,280 because, look at that, is going to impact 64 divisions. There is a way around this, and that's what we're going to look at now. So with this new addition to our division there, the support anti-air having been completed, I'm going to change the symbol by clicking this, and we're going to pick something else. Now, you may wish to do this, you may not. Personally, it's something that I like to do because it lets me easily see which division is where just by looking at it. Now, I'm going to pick something else, and I quite like this little single sword here. Select that, and I'm going to rename the division as well. So I realize this is sort of the German spelling, but I'm just going to change it. Infantry. And again, I like to put a number on the end for combat width. So I'm just going to call it Infantry 18. Now, again, don't press save because that's just going to change everything. We've got a duplicate button here, which is basically going to copy exactly as it was the existing template. And we're going to be able to save it. And rather than changing all the others, it's just going to give us a new infantry division to work with. And we'll be able to then, one at a time, upgrade existing divisions as and when we feel that they're ready and we've got enough equipment. So let's save this new division. Hit escape. And now you'll see on the bottom of this list is now our new division down here, but our old division still exists. So what I'm going to do is bring the new division to the top of the line, bring the old division to the bottom of the line, and what we've got recruiting here at home is going to be finished. So what I'm going to do is just click this option here, deploy everybody instantly, and you can see all the people that are sort of more than quarter trained we can deploy. This guy here, only 6% trained, we can't deploy him. So I'm just going to say, right, forget that. So we no longer want to train these old divisions. So we're just going to say, look, just finish the one that you're doing. We're going to click here to kick out all the ones that are ready. There we go. We've got that one division that's not quite ready yet. Okay, but will be soon. And then we're going to say, start training on this new division. So let's click train. Once again, infantry will set to the lower equipment priority. Location where? Well, we'll pick the same spot, which was this one here, Thuringen. Okay. How many divisions do we want on the boil? Well, at this moment in time, let's up it to something like 8 divisions. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And again, providing you've got enough equipment, enough manpower, all of these bars should be full. Want to verify that, just hover over the very last one that you do, which will be, have the lowest priority of them all. And you can see that everything is green. Importantly, equipment there 100%. Okay. Sorted. You may then also think, well, hang on, what about our existing divisions? And exactly, so for example, if we come over to this guy here who's covering the northern sector there between Germany and Poland, we may say, okay, let's take, I don't know, let's take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 divisions. We've got this, for goodness sake, don't click on the red bin, disband them all. We've got this green sort of arrow here to change the division template, so we're going to click on that. We've got our new division there, Infantry 18. So this is going to change the template from what it was to what we've just done. In other words, add the anti-air in. Okay. You can see that's going to require the following, because now we're not changing the entire army. We're just changing the selected divisions here. And you see, we do have enough for all of that sort of good stuff. Okay. Just like before, once that new equipment rolls out on the scene, they're going to stand there and think, by goodness, what do we do with this? And because of that, their skill will drop down. Because I don't want their skill to drop down, just these divisions selected, I'm going to right-click and send them back over to this guy for training. So let's do that now. Right-click. Once they're there, they will train. And as that new... Let's just slow time down and unpause so we can see what happens. See, they're already making their way back, and you'll see, there we go, look at that, the equipment is less than 100%, and once it's supplied, you'll see their skill level drop down just temporarily. There we see it, and that's only going to take a little while, a few days to train, because it's so close. And once that's complete, I will just once again right click to basically give them back to the general where they were. Now you may say, well, couldn't you have just trained the entire general on the front line? Yes, and it would have done the same sort of thing. I'm just showing you that once war kicks off, you never want to train people on the front line. It's always best to take them off the front line and give them to somebody else to train and then give them back. So there we go. You see the training there is up to the silver star on almost all of them. Come on, come on, come on. Let's pick up pace just a tad. Pause. Okay, and now without anything else, with the same divisions still selected, we're going to right-click, give them back to that general. There we go. Okay. Now you may say, well, won't they still be training when they go over to the new general? No, because it's the general himself that's making them train over there. This general is just making them hold the front line. That's it. Okay, let's escape. We'll do that with a few more divisions as well as we go on. Let's take a look at the research. We've got another slot there. And again, all of these technologies are still ahead of time, but slightly less than what they were before. Let's go for this radar to improve, once again, not just how far we can detect aircraft, but a small increase in coordination as well, which is, again, always a good thing. Let's go. Okay. Right, we've got some more unassigned divisions, so shift, left click, a whole bunch of infantry divisions. Those were the ones we kicked out early from training. Let's right click and assign to the general. We've also got some of the... All of these, if you recall, all of these divisions are now slightly older or slightly out of date. We want to upgrade to that newer division, and again, this is why it's super helpful to use different icons for the divisions. So we know now if we see this infantry division with the helmet, that is older to the single sword. So what I'm going to do is select all of them, but if you double click on, in this case, any division underneath the commander, so in this case I've double clicked on the infantry template there, selects every one that's the same, so you can see it doesn't select motorized or cavalry because they're different. Okay, we're going to switch template over to the new style infantry 18. Take a quick look. We've got enough stuff there. That's all good. Okay, and so everybody's going to be trained up. Now we do have this one Schnell division here. This is perhaps a good time where we can take a look at what this division is actually all about. So if we select on it, yes, it's a cavalry division. If we take a look at the template, it's actually terrible. Look at this. We've got 4 battalions of cavalry versus, you know, usually we're seeing 9 battalions to make them really effective in fighting. And as the game goes on, you're going to want to increase that. No support company. In other words, if we send this division fighting, yes, they will be able to move slightly quicker than infantry, but the advantages start and end right there. This is going to take horrific losses because they're just not very good because there's so few of them. However, when it comes to guarding an area that we've already conquered, the Schnell division would be pretty good at that because they don't necessarily need to fight per se, they're just guarding an area. So what we'll do is we'll come over to the recruit menu, we'll find where these guys are. Here they are, Schnell division, I'm actually going to click edit. I realize I did that a bit quickly, but there alongside Chanel, edit. We're going to rename them. So come over here, delete, delete, delete. And I'm just going to call this the, just go MP guards. There we go. Now, in terms of equipment priority, although we've not looked at it on this menu, we've seen this elsewhere in the game, and you know the score. If there's enough stuff to go around, everybody's happy. If there isn't, those that are on an elite unit get equipment first, and those on a low priority or reserves get equipment last. Being guards, a lower priority here is okay. So we'll select that low priority. I'm now going to hit up. Oh no, just before I do, let's come over to the support company tab. And we're going to look for the military police, which should be unlocked now, which is here. Now take a look at the stats that this unit supplies, specifically under the suppression base stat here. Currently, suppression has a value of 8. Now what this means is, once we've conquered an area, this is how good this division is at preventing people from basically kicking off, saying, hang on, we're not under you, we're Belgium, we're France, we don't want to do what you want to do. And to prevent those people rising up, suppression is, you know, that modifier that helps prevent that. So putting military police into the mix, take a look, suppression up to from 8 to 9.6. Now that may seem like a small increase, and it is, and that's because this is only a small division. But once we add more cavalry, take a look at the suppression. 12, we add another one, goes up to 14.4, add another one, so on and so forth. So the bonus is cumulative. Now to begin with, we'll just leave it like this, so we'll have what was already there. We've renamed it, we've set it to low priority, we've given them the MPs. We're going to save this, okay? So this is not a fighting unit or a fighting division. This is for guards. So we're going to hit save. Okay, done. Let's hit escape, escape. Let's now find where this guy was. And here he is, the Schnell division. He's still training. Again, we don't want to use these actively, so I'm actually going to swap the template over. And again, I'm going to go for the infantry. Okay. More than enough. It's obviously going to take ages for this division to be reassigned, because a few guys on horseback is very different to now what we're asking them to do. You may say, well, hang on, the name doesn't go at all. It still says Schnell division. Okay, we can, if we select the division, change that as well. Over here, you can give it a name that you want, or if you press this button here, it will automatically give it a suitable name, in this case infantry division. Okay, let's hit escape, let that one go. Let's come over to the order here, and we've got the how we run government, specifically occupied territories. Let's select that, and here we've got what division do you want to use to oversee the area? Okay, and you see the default is infantry. Now we've just deliberately created our MP Guards division to take over that role. Now there's a lot of stats on this screen, and I realize this is a beginner's tutorial. I don't really want to bamboozle you with it too much, but take a look at this. To use our infantry to suppress a specific area, it's going to cost 45 industrial capacity or 45 units of production to suppress the state or wherever it is by 1. Yet look at MP Guards, much cheaper, 31 to suppress by 1. And that's because infantry guards come with artillery and all the rest of it that isn't necessarily helpful in suppressing an area. However, the MP guards, police on horseback, specifically with the MPs, now that is helpful. So in other words, this is going to provide more suppression for cheaper, for less, which is a good thing. So make sure that you've done that little thing. And again, we're not going to be directly recruiting MP guards, This is now just a mechanic that takes place in the background of the game because we've made the decision here, which is great. Okay, let's unpause. Speed up time to level 4. We'll take ourselves up to 100 and... Oh, pause. Allied hungry. Okay, national focus. Let's have a look at this now. So we hit OK. We come over to national focus and you may think, right, well, this one's next. Yes, but we need to first of all get both of these guys on side. And remember, this entire process for each country has up to 730 days to do it. Of course, one of these, which I think we did Romania first, has been ticking away for some of those days. So don't rush this, because if both of the countries are not aligned, we may not necessarily get advantages from both. So it's in the oven. It's baking. We'll certainly come back to it, just not yet. So let's look for some other areas that will be helpful, such as coal liquidization. And again, the whole process, take a look at that massive bonus we get. A 300% bonus for the synthetic resources. And again, don't think, oh, that means we get 3 of them for free, which you'd have thought it would. Actually means if something takes 300 days to research, it's now going to take 100. It's something like that. Again, the percentage whole thing is backwards. It should say something like 75% off or something to that effect. Also, we get a free refinery for this as well. So again, it's a very good thing to have. But the real benefit is the synthetic bonus, which is if we take a look at how many days it takes to research, is a huge bonus to have. So let's get that on the boil. Okay. Before we unpause, we're towards the back end of May here. Let's come over to the F2 menu. Let's take a look at our sub guy. These are all pretty much up to scratch, so let's cancel these guys' training. You can see there we've got at least 1 ship or more. Actually, turns out we've got 6 subs ready to go. So once again, with these selected, right-click on our U-boat guy and same again. Automatic reinforcement, yes. Automatic split off, yes. Come over to the composition editor, destroyers, well, we don't care for those, so get rid of that. And subs, up that to 10. Again, the subs that are already there will be there. Those as the remaining, in my case, 4 get rolled off the factory, they will automatically join the flotilla. Great. And because we're trying to speed through things a bit now, let's get these guys training. Okay. Escape. As we are approaching war and the whole shenanigans in Spain have come to an end, let's actually take a look at training our surface fleet. So let's pick the larger of the 2 flotillas, or the what they called them, the Hochseeflotte. The name of the fleet is there. Either way, the one that so far has 3 cruisers. We're going to set these guys training, and again, they're going to use fuel so quickly. Take a look at how much fuel currently, at least on my game, it says our fuel supplies are going to be completely full in 5 years. That's why it's green. Okay, so at the end of each day, we're getting slightly more fuel than we're using. It's going to take 5 years to fill the entire tank. We start training this flotilla. I'm going to slow time down to, let's say, 2 bars. Let's unpause. Watch what happens to that date. Let's speed up the time a bit. The year... Boom. So all of a sudden we're going to be full of fuel in 5 years becomes to we're going to run out of fuel entirely in 1 year, just because 1 flotilla is training. Again, that's because these use so much. Now you may say, well, would it be efficient to get the 2nd flotilla training? Yes, of course, we're going to run out of fuel even more quickly. So much so that I'm not convinced we're going to be able to get both of these flotillas to the Silver Star. So I think what I'm going to aim for is get them out of this novice here, again, which gives a 10% negative modifier. We just get them trained, that's going to be a lot better. So let's go for that. So we'll train these, and again, take a look at how much or how long our fuel is going to last. Now, unpause a year, and again, we're into days. We're less than half a year now, 150 days. You may say, why has everything gone red? Same as before. We've got ships out there doing training exercises. meaning we've got no actual ships there covering should we need for things to kick off, which is again why I want to get the training over and done with before war starts. I actually find, certainly as Germany, it's very difficult to train ships, certainly in the early stages of war, once war kicks off, which is why I like to try and get the training done beforehand. And once war kicks off, I try and add new boats with that are untrained with new crews to existing flotillas to try and make up for that balance. So let's unpause. F3 to have a quick look at the air. Okay, pause. We see here this fighter wing has completed this squadron, so let's cancel their training and once again fly them to a new area. Once again, I think I might take these over to this spot here, this airbase. Okay, take a look at our torpedo bombers. In this case, we've reached 100. That was my criteria for starting their training. So with those guys selected, let's get the training going there. Before we click off, let's see anybody new. Look at this. Close air support, they're ready to go. The new fighter wing, they're ready to go. Nothing else there as of yet. Okay, so I'm just going to manually select these 2 new wings, start their training. Okay, let's hit escape, unpause. Back to F1. Default view, take a look at this. Some of our infantry divisions are fully trained, ready to go to the front line. So it happens, at least on my game, to be these 4 divisions. So I'm going to select the 4 divisions. We're in early June, and I'm going to put these onto the front line with this general here. Another thing that you could do, if you wish, is to say, well, hang on a minute, didn't you have some infantry divisions that you wanted to upgrade with this guy? Yes, I did. So could you right-click those divisions onto this guy? Yes. And see, now he's commanding 28 instead of 24 divisions, which is a bad thing for reasons we've been over. But what we could do now is find 4 older divisions. Let's just go for the 4 nearest the top there, and we can just take those divisions off him. Again, just by right-clicking onto somebody else. Now he's back to the 24 that he's happy with, including those 4 newer divisions. So you may say, well, what's with these divisions then? And once again, we're just going to look to upgrade them to the newer type. There we go. Okay. One other thing that I want to do, because again, we're fast approaching where we're going to go now. Select this guy here who's bordering France. And I'm just going to get, I don't know, let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's get 6 divisions. We're going to bring those back for training. So let's first of all change the template over to the newer kind. Okay. And bring them over here for training. And again, we know we want this guy to have at least 10 divisions. Now, because we've just taken half of his divisions, or just over half off him, when we unpause, he's going to be very unhappy at his ability to cover the front line. So check this guy's graph there. I'll just slow time down. This one here, when we unpause, it's currently 50-50 green and red. Actually increases green just for a little bit, which is insane considering we've just taken those additional divisions. And there we see, look at that, he's now a lot more unhappy. I don't know why the game initially went more green for a split second, but you see there now, he's pretty much all red because he's unable to hold that front line. If we was to kick the war off now, it's almost for sure France are going to try and break through because there's not enough divisions to hold. Okay, take a look at political power. I think we're with our final decision here. And there we go, military high command, the last slot. And there he is, the infantry expert. Okay, let's get those hired. And with it, we've hired every single guy that we can hire. The next decision, I think, is to get out of that free trade agreement. Okay. We also have a doctrine available, land and navy. Let's assign those. Not much reason not to assign. We've got Blitzkrieg further on here, the Schwerpunkt one. Again, it's going to cost us 85 because Heinz gives that little bit of a benefit. The effect of this, tanks organization +2, tanks and armor variant recovery rate plus 0.1. It's not that I or probably any other player remembers what every single stat does. I mean, I certainly don't. You may have one or two oddballs that remember every last stat within the game. All that you need to know is, as you're looking for this, is it worth having? And generally speaking, it's always worth having until you get to the end. And again, being the aggressive side, we're always going to go down this right-hand leg. I've never gone down the left-hand side, but as you can see there, again, there are reasons for doing just so. Let's go down the right-hand side. Okay. If we click on Doctrine Available, that leaves us the Navy. Now, the reason we've got Navy experience, as you see up here, even though we've not been fighting, is thanks to that trickle from the training, as well as, of course, having Eric Raeder, who provides that bit of experience as well. In fact, if you look there, currently having almost our entire surface flotilla training, which they are, gives us about the same amount of experience as having Eric Raeder by himself. So there's a huge advantage to hiring Chief of the Navy. So the first slot's already unlocked, and the remaining is a choice between these three. Now, aircraft carrier, well, we don't have any, so right out the way, that's pointless. These, however, are not. So we've got the Raider patrols. Take a look at those bonuses, mostly affecting light cruisers, heavy cruisers. Something that, you know, we've got 3 or at least 3 heavy cruisers. We also have several light cruisers. This is obviously a big bonus to those. However, Germany is predominantly, I was going to say obsessed. Let's go with that word, obsessed with the U-boats, and for good reason. It lets you get under a much superior navy such as the Royal Navy. You can see there the bonuses to be had for the U-boats. Now, I want both. Again, this here, because we're using our boats, our surface ships, primarily for defense, this will be a good way to help defend as we get into the early stages of the game. And then the next upgrades will be looking at the U-boats, so we're better at both defending as well as attacking with those U-boats. Again, lots of bonuses to be had. Remember, the bonuses always stack on top of each other. So let's get the raiders. Again, not that we will be raiding, but as you can see, a lot of these can be used for defensive purposes as well. Not least that organization stat again that we've been over before. Okay. Insufficient resources, still there with the steel. Of course, that's going to be our next decision. Okay, let's ramp up the training. And we'll pause on or around the 20th of June. Bang, there we go. Let's have a look at what our squads here under the training officer. Look at all of these. Loads of them ready. Now remember the guy there on the French border, we said we wanted him to have at least 10 divisions. He's currently got 4. Let's go 5, 6. I'm holding shift. 7, 8, 9, 10. Select them over there. That's good. Okay. The other divisions that are ready to go, there's only 4. Once again, I'm going to give to one of these generals that's on the line there with Poland. Let's give them to this guy here. Now, you may say, well, shouldn't you get some of these other ones upgraded? Yes, but bearing in mind, there's only so much we can do. Certainly these ones here, these out-of-date templates, as opposed to just the ones that we have decided as being lower priority. Again, the difference being we've got this little yellow arrow. Excuse me, basically to say we decommissioned these guys. And remember, they were the Austrian template we decommissioned. So let's double click to select all of those. We'll switch those over to the newer division and again send them over to our training officer to get the training squared away in that regard. Let's hit escape. Just before we get into July, let's take a look at our equipment, and specifically tanks is what I'm interested in. We've got 841 tanks spare. We've got 2,700 trucks spare. I think it's a good time to recruit potentially 2 or 3 new Panzer divisions. So let's come over here to the recruit menu, Panzer division, and we're not going to make any changes for now. That's okay. Let's fold this menu away just so we've got a bit more view. Train for a Panzer division just the one time. Where do we want it to train? I'm actually going to click on the capital itself, Brandenburg. And we want, let's just go for 3 divisions. Okay. Priority, I'm going to say high priority. So those, again, we've been over all of that stuff. As it happens, there is more than enough stuff to go around. Truck-wise, let's just get a couple more of those, and then I think we'll have had enough. So again, the same state up here. Just the one time, we'll get 2 divisions there. Okay. That there is all good. We've got our older style template there where we just had that 1 division left. Let's force him out straight away just to tidy this menu up some. We'll close that. We'll select this division and we'll assign him to our training general. There we go. Okay, coming over to the Navy menu then, let's have a little look how our surface fleet is doing, bearing in mind what it costs. As you see, we've already got some ships damaged there. There's a couple have been detached. But if we take a look, they're almost up to level 2 or a trained level. So let's unpause and make sure we catch that. Pause. And now I'm going to set these guys to stop training. And remember, rather than just stay there doing nothing, they're going to become a strike force. So let's make sure that you set that. And look at that. The Admiral, almost said General. I'm sure somebody would get very upset over that. Is pretty much happy with that. Let's hit escape to make sure we don't accidentally move any flotillas around. We're going to select the second flotilla that's training. They're almost there as well, so let's unpause and pause. These guys can now do the same thing. Now you can just say, can you just click on Strike Force? Yes, you can. So you don't actually, you can save yourself a click there. Okay, great. Let's unpause. And now look at that. Fuel, once again, is on the rise. Let's have a look. We'll pause there halfway through July 1938. Take a look at now at how much fuel we're gaining. 244 tons from our own refineries. Okay. Daily gain 418, remember, because we do actually have that little bit of income there in northern Germany as well. It may be prudent to just get a little bump on the total amount of fuel before war kicks off again, because we're going to use a load of fuel once war starts. And if you wait until the last minute before trades, remember the Royal Navy is going to cause us bother. Also remember, fuel is the only thing you can save up on. So if we come over to our trade menu, let's come over to the oil, or over here. The terms oil and fuel is somewhat interchangeable in this game, and we'll look for a country to trade with. Now, once again, thinking long term, you don't really want to trade with someone who's going to become an enemy. Iran, however, neither here nor there, at least for many, many years, we'll look at trading. Now, we could just trade one factory, and again, we're going to gain 8 tons or thereabouts. You may say, well, hang on, why don't we need any convoys to trade with Iran? And the actual reason is, if we take a look at this, there is a contiguous connection between Germany and Iran. And as you can see, one way flows through Russia, the other way flows through Turkey, and so on. The only way we would begin to require convoys is, imagine if we were at war with Russia. Okay, well, they're not going to let our oil through. And then if we were at war, say, with Turkey, well, now all of a sudden there is no direct connection between Germany and Iran. Then you would have convoys required, okay? So let's just get a bit of oil on the go. And let's go for, I don't know, let's go for 3 factories. Now, just before I unpause, I'm going to hit OK. Obviously, we lose the use of 3 factories for a little while. OK. Take a look at what that's going to do to our fuel. Currently, we're going to run out of fuel in 5 years' time. Let's unpause and pause. Suddenly, we're going to be completely full in 239 days' time. So, let's leave that going just for the immediate time. Over to F3. Aircraft that are training. Our torpedo bomber, good. He's ready to go. So let's cancel his training. And we'll move him over to one of the northern airfields. Personally, I think this is a great airfield to start in northwest Germany, because we need to be able to cover the eastern North Sea And trust me when I say this, the British are going to be real interested in this area of sea once we start off there. Always some idiot going around in some sort of vehicle that's had the silence mufflers done away with. Right. Let's unpause. There we go. He's there. How about the other air wings? These guys have trained just by chance here for me as well. So let's cease their training. And once again, move them to a frontline base. I'll tell you what, I'll move these. I'll tell you what, we'll move them over to Königsberg. Both the fighter as well as the combat air support. Deselect. Once again, select on the airbase itself. Add a new air wing. Is there anybody ready is the question. And the answer is, not really. Okay. Because we're not yet at war, I'll tell you what. We'll just get them there ready. One fighter squadron, one close air support, one bomber, and one naval bomber. You would never do that during the war because you're basically using up the few aircraft you have in reserve, which means as the other aircraft once in a while get shot down or have accidents, there's nothing now to replace them with. And the longer you leave it until they get replacements, the more the experience is going to take a tumble. So, again, this is... I'm only doing this because we're pre-war. Okay, on pause, and I'm trying to get through this as quickly as possible to live up to the promise, pause, that we're almost ready for Poland. So research slot, same thing here. Let's have a look. Construction, this would be a great one. Look at that. It's less than half a year ahead of time. It's going to take us about half a year to research. Once complete, 10% bonuses in terms of construction. Good, good, good. This refinery bonus here, as you can see, is going to take us 235 days to unlock, which is a long time. Once that national focus with the refineries rolls around, that's where that huge bonus is going to be. So just pay attention. 235 days. Watch what that drops down to. But for now, construction. Okay. Free civilian factories. Again, always make use of these. So we're going to look to put down some more... Tell you what, some more civilian factories. I'm going to shift and left click on Westfalen, even though it's partially blue. I think that's down to something else. Oh, there we go. It's beg your pardon. It's already under construction. That's why. Let's come down to this state here. We'll get the road network on there in, what's that, Württemberg. Okay, so left click. I'm going to drag that just one slot higher to get the priority on there. Civilian factory, Moorsland is 15 out of 16. Let's cap that off to a 16th. And then the rest of them on Württemberg. And again, hopefully by the time they start construction there, the infrastructure will be a highest level. Once that's done, we'll come over to more military factories, and these are these states that we put the road network down early on. Now you can see we've got loads of room for factories here. Left, shift, let's go for Ostmark first. It may be tempting to just fill this as high as you can get it. Not always the best way to play, we'll see why once war kicks off. But this right now is a real good stack, we'll be able to leave that. Back to the F1 view then. Let's unpause. August 1938. Pause. Okay, coal liquidization. Okay, let's select that. Let's come over to new national focus. And let's come here to demand Sudetenland. This is going to give us a state that currently belongs to Czechoslovakia that historically belonged to Germany. At least that's the way I understand it. So let's go ahead and get that one done. Okay. I do actually think we're going to need a little bit of the next episode. But I'll tell you what, the next episode we will still declare war on Poland, even though it might not be at the very start. How about that? Because this is a long one. That's going to wrap it up, I think, for episode... I believe, what was this one on? Episode 15. That many episodes. I forget where we are, but yeah, episode 16. We'll get a few final touches in, as well as kick things off with Poland. Can't wait to do that. Until then, take care, my friends. Bye-bye.